They look cute.
Do you look cute? You just I'm glad we have reached this level of comfort. Yeah. I don't even know how to respond to that. Anyway, today on Lunch with Della, we're going to talk about elite schools versus non-elite schools, what our thoughts about it, should we do away with elite schools, and ... Does everyone want to start by saying like what school we were from?
Okay, so I spent 4 years in St. Stephen's. Then I went to ACJS, Anglo-Chinese Junior School,
Okay.
5, 6, and then I went to ACS Independent.
So why did you switch to an elite primary school halfway?
Oh, it's because of swimming. I used to swim back then. Actually, I wanted to go to Tao Nan, but because Tao Nan rejected me.
Is it because they're Chinese now?
My other fellow swimmers were also horrible in Chinese.
To be fair, I think their Chinese probably better than yours lah.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
after going to Tao Nan, their Chinese will definitely be better.
Confirm this one is from an elite Chinese school.
Actually, a lot of my school choices were driven by swimming.
Okay, okay. So I went to CHIJ Katong Primary, which is not an elite school, but I think some people define elite as being a known school. So it's a single-sex known school. Some people define elite as that. I went on to Tanjong Katong Girls' School, which was then considered an elite school. It was not the notoriously elite schools like ACS, but it was like a top 10 school in Singapore, and at that time it was considered quite elite. Must be from elite Chinese school.
Yeah, all the way. I chose my secondary school actually, like Terrence, right? My choices are quite dependent on my sport as well, which is table tennis. So I was actually posted to Diamond Sec.
Okay.
Not that I was unhappy, it's just that they didn't have like table tennis girls.
Oh dear.
They don't have those teams. So like when I got a call from a coach and I think a teacher from like Anglican High, so that's where I decided that okay, I want to go because I want to play table tennis.
Ian?
I was from Southview Primary, which was decent, but like towards the time I was leaving, it became like a better primary school. I've been academically shitty all my life, so y'all were choosing your secondary schools based on what? Sports and all that.
I chose based on sport as well, because TKGS was known to have a great netball team, which is why I picked it over Katong Convent Secondary.
I know how I chose my secondary school based on which school like I would get in with my PSLE score. This luxury.
So I'm going to start off by saying that I have beef with elite schools because I think elite is defined as excellence. So in terms of academic results and or in terms of like either sports or like other achievements like music, and like TKGS was a music elective school, so we had a lot of like really musically talented people. I was not one of them, but our school had a lot of like pianos, and then people would just play. So that's what I consider excellence. Now the problem I have with independent schools is that, especially for certain ones, from certain like there are certain schools, where you're not great at your grades, not great at any sport or any talent, but you can kind of buy your way in. You tell us a bit more about that. I'm sure there were kids who didn't do well in school, but their parents, they just came from a background that their parents could afford to donate huge sums of money. Their parents could afford the time, because time is money and luxury, afford the time to go and volunteer. What do you think about that system?
Well, firstly, even though you're an independent school, doesn't mean you're an elite school. To just clarify, so then the other clarification I must make, especially for the boys' school, there's actually only one elite school, and that's just AC. Okay, no, just
see my roll eyes.
Okay, jokes aside first. It's not so straightforward and simple. And the reason why I say that is because I think as a kid growing up, then you don't necessarily think of the school as an elite school.
No, of course not. But I mean, now I'm saying as an adult looking back, like what do you think of the fact that people can sort of buy your child a spot in an elite independent school?
People have different opinions on this. Now, I didn't necessarily like that ability because I didn't have to buy my way in, and neither did my parents have the ability to buy me through that school. At the same time, I just accepted it as part of life.
Okay.
Right? Now, having said that, I think what made it not so obvious is I had classmates that were not necessarily from well-to-do families.
I think that all schools will have kids across a whole plethora of socio-economic backgrounds. It's just that for like TKGS, largely everyone was middle income. I'm guessing. I don't
Oh, I
know.
realized I never mentioned my secondary school. I only said my primary
Yes.
school. I was from like DELLAA Secondary, which you have
Okay.
never ever heard of because it's so shitty. It's only notorious because like it used to
Actually, I've heard of Teck Whye.
Yeah, also
a lot of abings.
The gangsters, yeah. Okay, so Teck Whye, right? Like, I mean, just so that we have an idea, like, were there a lot of kids from like a higher social status?
No. As in there were lah.
Of course.
There were, but mostly it was like middle income and like probably lower, I would guess. Yeah,
okay.
But mostly middle income.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in AHS?
I would guess like middle to higher income.
Okay.
Because I remember, like my parents are the kind that like you want to go school, then we'll find ways to get you to school. So I like tumpang on my neighbor's car who happen to go to the same school, or like I take school bus or I take public transport lah. Basically,
Yeah.
I'm always super jealous of like
People who
schoolmates. Like they got like
Picked
sent,
up
yeah, got
every
right to
day.
school comfortably,
Yeah.
and all that. Like then after that, after school, then parents come and pick
Yeah.
up in the car.
Years ago, I did a video on like two elite boys' schools in Singapore, RI and ACS, and when I was trying to figure out what time I could go to the school to sort of interview them, I have friends who are teachers in both schools, and they both said, no point waiting at this bus stop, because most of them get picked up anyway.
Wow.
And really, truly, when I waited outside the school, really, the bus stop was, you know, like TKGS after school, the bus stop is packed. This one, the bus stop was like quite empty lah. So my dream is that coming from an autonomous school, right, where it was better funded than say the convent school that I was at before, we had a lot of extra money for the school to fund things like enrichment classes, you know, like we had like presentation workshops and things like that, which I think help a kid out later in life. I mean, this is my personal view. So I wish that more schools in Singapore would be autonomous, and that the school system in Singapore would be a lot flatter, without like, oh, there are these neighborhood schools, and then there are the autonomous schools, and then there are like the elite. Do you all think that it's a better system, or?
Okay, let's start with my primary school.
Yeah.
Because my primary school had a lot of enrichment. So
Okay.
I remember going for abacus classes on like maybe Saturday or Sunday. I cannot remember.
And
But
your parents pay for it? Do you remember?
I don't know, I have to ask
Okay.
them. But it was provided by the school and some by parent volunteers. There was a Thai parent,
Yeah.
so she taught like Thai class. And I remember going for that class. Yeah, so we learned how to write in Thai. And then we had swimming lessons as well.
Yeah.
So swimming lessons, that means the school will ferry you to the swimming complex, and then like
Yeah.
after you swim, then like, you know. So there is a lot of this kind of thing going on in my primary school.
Ian, do you have any of these kind of things coming from neighborhood schools?
From my primary school, actually we did. Secondary school, honestly, not so much lah. I mean, obviously when you're doing your O's and that kind of thing, there's like this period where they kind of make you do night study, like it was like forced one. But not like
Night
my primary
study.
school. My primary school had like
Night study.
for O levels, you don't have math.
No?
No, I had like afternoon.
Oh, we have because we are
Yeah,
shitty
yeah, we
secondary school.
shitty students. Yes.
Shitty secondary school that they know you won't, if you go home you won't study by yourself, so they
No,
force
no,
you to
shitty
sit.
Night
students.
study.
Like,
But like, do you have like enrichment classes? Swimming lessons? Do you get swimming lessons?
oh, for like maybe first month in Sec 1, they made you go for like swimming class.
One
a week.
month?
Yeah.
Is
It's
enough
like-
to not drown?
Yeah.
But then okay, but it's an interesting point, right? Because as far as I remember in AC, we didn't have all these enrichment. Like we didn't have presentation classes, skills. Our music classes were just standard music classes. The classes were not different. Like we didn't have all these extra things that you.
So what do you, okay, I'm saying it based on a friend who is teaching, like friends who are teaching in elite schools now, so maybe it's changed, but it feels like what they have like financial planning classes, I'm like, huh, in secondary school. So if not that, then what do you think were the main difference about like being in an elite school? Would you still pick to go to elite school now?
Okay, okay, at least from my own experience, what created the elite feeling was the excellence.
Okay.
And it was because of swimming, really. Because,
Okay.
you know, AC had such a dominant swimming team for many years. And the fact that when I was still there, we had won for like 40 years since it started and never lost. I think that kind of tradition was what created the elite feeling for me. And also knowing that all the best swimmers were in AC, guy swimmers.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them during my era, even before. Like, if you went to RI, it's either because you were not that great in swimming to begin with, or
It's a very elitist attitude.
Shade.
Yeah, what is this?
or
RI people comment down below.
Yeah, if you hate this ACS talk, comment down below. Fight.
or you had interest in Boy Scouts or something. But
Are you taking the piss? Oh my god,
not of the swimming, I wouldn't have felt the elite kind of feeling.
Okay, but you came from both neighborhood schools,
Yeah.
and you came from like both elite schools, right? So my primary school was very normal. Katong Convent was like very normal mission school. I actually felt the difference in terms of the pressure, and I liked it. Right, so in KC, like everyone's very chill, very tidak apa. I used to go to school at like 8 something. The TKGS was so strict, and it was like everyone was very motivated to study. Right, I was used to being like top few in KC, and then suddenly in TKGS I was like so normal. You know, I was really like such a normal kid. Academically, it wasn't outstanding at all. So I mean, I liked it because I was pushed. I felt very pushed. Like there was a pressure to perform. There was that sort of pressure that I kind of liked.
You like I don't like.
Okay, so what's your experience? So your experience, yeah, because you're in that system as well, right?
Because I've been brought up in that system, and the rules like you experienced in like TKGS, right? It applies to my
Okay, I didn't like the rules.
Yeah, so like that means your socks have to be certain length, your hair to be certain length, and then they micromanage your uniform.
Yeah.
Like the whole school is very very competitive. Where I felt like it's almost everybody just fighting for their own. Like there's no cohesiveness.
But do you feel pressure to perform in terms of like studies?
Definitely, because everybody is so concerned about it that like peer pressure you to want to perform.
And you didn't like it. I actually liked it.
Oh, I hated it because like I felt that I want to enjoy the learning. Like for academic excellence, at that point I was being pushed away from it, but I was drawn back not because I wanted to do well, it's because I didn't want to do badly.
Okay, like almost like fear of
failing.
Interesting.
Like fear of doing badly.
I mean, that's kind of what it's like in a elite school system.
Yes, you're very very scared.
Generally in an elite school, it's like that, that you're pushed to like excellence. How was it like in the neighborhood school? In terms of like the studies, do you feel like it was very chill? Do you feel pressured to do well?
Oh, there was definitely no pressure at all. And then my teachers told me how much they hated me. Like my science teachers especially, but I can't blame them. Like I went to do my chemistry O's without knowing how to balance a chemical equation, so can't really blame them. They hated me and like
your peers weren't like, oh, we all got to study hard. Do you do better than me? Hey, I got like this grade. How much better did you do?
there was competition among those nerds lah, like all those nerds. They were like competing against each other. Like
thanks
Yeah. Just point.
Yeah. No, so let me get this right. So you would have preferred to be in that situation. Do you think you would have done better in a school that perhaps everyone was doing very well and you feel pushed to perform?
Or like maybe 50% is like of people who
quite
are
ons lah.
Yeah, ons about studying, and then 50 is like
I personally feel right that if you're not academic, right, and if you have no interest, right, it doesn't matter what environment you're in. Your attitude is your attitude, right? It's your personal attitude. Nothing can change you.
Okay, now that we have elite schools and non-elite schools, obviously you weren't interested in grades, right?
No, not at all.
So an elite school system is where the people who are interested in grades are all put together, and the people who are like not that interested in grades are kind of like streamed out and put in another school.
Yeah.
So do you think that's the good way to do it, or would you have preferred to be mixed with like a mix of people?
I wouldn't redo a single thing. Like I felt that that was good for people like me who just wanted to like get by. Because if you put me into like an elite school like you guys, right, I would have like died.
But then, but then to the point, right? Okay, I make one casual comment. While I don't necessarily like all the effect of
elitism,
I don't think it's that simple to generalize because at least for ACS, we were always sort of taught and reminded that we need to be all-rounded in life.
Right.
And there wasn't, I can say honestly, there wasn't this pressure that, oh, we need to score all A's. In fact, if you someone in our school that scored all A's, you'll be looked on not favorably. Because you'll be like, you don't belong here, maybe we should send you to RI instead.
Again pissing on RI. RI boys, you're better command and like defend your school.
Yeah,
but that means they're smart. They're smart, right? So we did not pride ourselves as being the smartest because we knew we were not. I mean, to be quite frank, you look at the school ranking and we were lucky we were top 10 in secondary school. That is what makes us special actually. That we are not the smartest, but we are the most well-rounded, and we've been taught that to get on with life is not about the books. Actually,
so much school pride.
No, I know, right?
No,
I'm like,
what I'm trying to say, the reason why I'm bringing up this point is that I do agree that I think some of the result of having elite schools are not great, but I also think individual schools have to take responsibility. And if you are creating the environment where you are only telling your students that you are successful only if you score all the points and A's and whatnot, then your students are going to think that way. Right.
I mean, I don't know necessarily like in our school, TKGS I thought was a very nice elite school. I'm from a convent school where even in primary school there was the startings of like a mean girl culture, you know? Like TKGS didn't really have any of that. You know, everyone was like very nice and very well rounded because I said it was musically a music elective school, but it was also a good school in terms of I think all Malays took higher Malay. Half the Chinese took higher Chinese, obviously not me. You know, so these kids were smart, right? And then on top of that, like we were good in sports, and we were also taught to be well-rounded. You know, when we talk about elite, it's a very wide word to use. Like, what does elite mean? And you also reminded us that elite doesn't necessarily mean independent. I think for me, elite means that like there's a sense of entitlement and a sense that we are better than others. And I feel like that situation is not helped when certain schools let you buy your way in, right? So I really have beef with that. So we heard what Terence had to say. What do y'all think about being able to... Oh, okay, yeah, let's hear from you first. What do you think about the fact that certain elite schools, like if you're not that great, your grades are not that great, you're not that great in sport, but you can, if you're from a well-to-do family, you can buy your way in. Do you think that's...
I mean, that's kind of like corporate life, or like, you know, like some untalented shit, like... It's like, you can't be like untalented, but your family is rich.
Yeah.
And they can just buy you whatever gear you need to like...
So it's kind of like life, but earlier on, like, what's your thought, Lui?
I mean, I feel like education is a right for everybody. I'm going for like world peace. No, but like, I mean, it's a privilege to be able to be educated.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, in Singapore, thankfully, right, whether you're rich or poor, we're very lucky.
We have access.
We all are able to get basic education.
I feel that buying the way in, I'm not happy about it. Definitely a bit jealous as well, especially if like somebody who worked really hard to get in, but they got pushed out because
there's only one space.
Their parents couldn't contribute like financially to school.
I think that's a really good point because I mean the number of places in a school are finite, right? And if it's like comes down to it, me, the Heartlander kid, and you, the like rich kid, and like let's say we had the same grades, everything like.
But clarify this, I'm not from a rich family.
I know. So,
but what I'm trying to say is that while the action itself may not be a great thing, right? Someone buying their way in, and yes, it's part and parcel of life. That's the way I feel too. Doesn't mean I like it.
I mean, but how did it make you feel as a non-rich kid
in
a school that is elite and independent, watching like rich kids get in just because their parents managed to buy their way in?
Which was the point I was going to make is I think it's actually not the way adults think. You also put yourself in the kid's perspective at 13, 14 years old. You are in a classroom where it's very obvious to everybody you're at the bottom of the class.
I mean, Ian clearly said he would rather not be there.
No, and it's right smack in your face that I'm only here because my parents
paid for me to be here.
At 13, 14, 15, I tell you, we are not thinking about, oh my god, you got such rich parents and we got to network with you. We are thinking like, you don't belong here. And especially in AC, okay? Anybody who is not great at sports, we look down upon, okay? Anybody who scores too well in grades, we look down upon.
So difficult to be in ACS.
Anybody who speaks Mandarin too well, we look down.
Wow. Trigger.
I can safely say that even those kids that fit that category, where it's very clear you didn't qualify whether it's sports or studies or whatever way, and you're there, it's like, oh, yeah, of course, because your parents paid for this, paid for that. They had a very hard time too. A few of them hated it. It created such a strong feeling that someone said, when I grow up, I'm not going to take a single cent for my parents because I just hate the fact that everybody discounts me the moment I step into the room.
Actually, I think that's a really, really interesting perspective. I never imagined it from the point of view of the kid, actually. Parents don't do that. You should do that to your kids. Okay, so that's quite a lot for elite versus non-elite school. Let us know what you think. Do you think that the Singapore system should be, as I feel like, a flatter one, where we can't do away with independent and elite schools? If you're an RI boy and you're majorly pissed at the RI barbs, you drop us a line as well. If you're a neighborhood school kid and you believe in the neighborhood school system, because I do have friends, I think Ian believes in it and I have friends who also believe in it, drop us a line below. Let us know what you think and we will catch you soon so we don't kill each other. Bye!